From Canada, Citizens Forum, where we look at the important issues of the day through a lens of democracy and media and try to figure out, how do we build a better country for ourselves? Mehdi, you were going to talk a little bit about the upcoming election.
Yes, I wanted to talk about what's happening with the Canadian election. But before that, let's see what is really pushing a Canadian election into one and only one subject, and that is Mr. Trump and tariff. I think we are looking at what Trump is doing with the tariff is in a wrong way. In a wrong way we are approaching it. What we have to look here is that Mr. Trump tariff is all built. He's gathering, is a tax on American people. In fact, the tariff 20%, 50%, 140% for China is a tax on American people. When they buy those commodities from China, they have to pay 140% extra. So why is he doing that? He's doing this because he has one aim. The goal is to give more than $5 trillion tax cut to the corporations in America. So he's gathering all this money from squeezing American people to get that money for the tax cuts. That's all he's doing. And after he has done that, then he's going to say, it was a mistake, after taking $5 trillion out of the pocket of American people. So if we look at it that way, then we see what, for example, the major party are doing in Canada in response to it is saying that, we should use this crisis, that is phony crisis that is intentionally created to push more corporate interest. And that is more pipeline, more mining, more devastation, and not much jobs for Canadian people, because it's all producing raw material that will be shipped out and produce economic activity somewhere else, but not in Canada. In terms of the political party and what's happening in Canada, there is one political party that claim that they are populist. They want to put Canada first, and that is Conservative Party, which always work with the right-wing element in United States to push Canada toward a absorption by United States. We saw during 2007-8, Mr. Harper government, he was pushing for North American Union. And now we see, for example, Mr. Manning recently during this election, he wrote an article for Globe and Mail, and he said, voters, particularly in Central and Atlantic Canada, need to recognize that the vote for carny liberals is a vote for Western secession, a vote for breakup of Canada as we know it. So he is threatening, if we vote for not conservative, we are going to break up Canada. This is treason. And Poilievre and Daniel Smith and Preston Manning are all behind this. They are threatening Canadian people that we break up Canada if you don't vote for conservative. And what Mr. Poilievre is doing, the gaslighting supreme, he's claimed that his campaign this year will be the most transparent and accessible to media campaign. Meanwhile, he just allow four questions, and they choose which reporter should ask question. For example, they haven't allowed the CBC ask any question in all these days during the campaign. and then they are not only they don't ask, they cannot ask the question, and then they make lots of claim about what they are going to do, and nobody can ask question. For example, he said all the time sloganeering by saying, we cut the tax, build the homes, fight the crimes, and fix the budget. How are you going to do that? He is not explaining. And if people of Canada are going to go to the poll with allowing the corporate media not only not talking about it, if, for example, Poilievre doesn't allow question, corporate media and CBC are not discussing this matter fully, discussing his Poilievre policies, that he is just gaslighting us. How is he going to cut the tax at the same time fix the budget? That means a huge cut to the social expenditure. This is the same Mr. Poilievre that said recently, he said, in 2018, in an article to Financial Post, he said, what is truly horrific is the existence of a welfare state. What is truly horrific is the existence of welfare state. So that means that he's going to cut deeply in social expenditure, but at the same time increase the budget for military buying warfare materials and equipment. Are we going to go with that? Are we going to accept that? Is this what Canadians want? What about the number of poor and homeless people? I just heard today that there is about 2 million Canadians visit a food bank every month all over Canada. 2 million. More than 90% increase in food bank access since the before pandemic. We have all these homeless people. We have all these people that are in the street because of mental illness, because they cut social expenditure. And this buffoon is going to, if he get elected based on lies and distortion, he's going to cut more. Is this what we want? Is this why you and me pay taxes for? To put it in the American war machinery? Or give subsidies to American mining and oil companies? Is this what we want? Are we destroying Canada for whose interest? In Norway, we have $1.8 trillion sovereign fund because they charge over 80% royalty fee from the oil company, and the oil company still do it. They take the 20%, 15%, 20%, and give 80 to 85% back to people of Norway. Here in Canada, we are giving it for nothing. We have a huge debt. And at the same time, there is more than $500 billion liability in the oil, in recuperation of the devastation that they have done in Alberta. What is this? Are we going to accept in the 21st century to be slaves of corporations and allow this ridiculous actor we call politician to rule over us for the interest of corporations? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that's the fight. That's the fight.
But you know, another question that the media doesn't ask is, which one is better for you, a majority government or a minority government? You know, the corporation want us to choose a majority government with 41% of the voters choose a government that dictate for 4 years what the corporations want. But if we had a proportional representation or choose a minority government, vote in a way that we can elect a minority government, then their influence is much, much less. And we get few things done for in the interest of the people. We have to choose. And in British Columbia, for example, in Vancouver Island, I think in 2 riding in Saanich Gulf Island and Nanaimo Ladysmith, we should maybe vote for Greens. In other ridings, Yes, the NDP is as corrupt as others, but when it's minority government, NDP acts in a public interest, in my opinion, to some extent. So we should vote NDP in Vancouver Island. Otherwise, you are going to choose a racist in North Island riding by the name of Aaron Gunn, which is going to really push the right wing corporate interest over the interest of the native people. He is already denying the genocide against native population, and in schooling of the native people. He denied the history, and he is pushing the corporate interest.
Yeah. You know, one thing about that is that the media is on Mr. Gunn. I haven't heard what he said. I really know nothing about it. But the media is really pushing that idea that, you know, he's denying or talking about the residential school disaster. But the media denied it and ignored it for the 100 years when it was actually happening. The media knew about it from the beginning. And they never, ever told the people of Canada what was going on
Because
until the schools were closed down. And then the media started to talk about them. So the media, we should never trust them.
no, they were not even talking about this in 1980s or early 1990s. It's just a recent phenomenon because the evidence is up.
They knew, Mehdi. They just didn't want to talk. They didn't talk about it. They knew, and they kept it quiet, in my opinion.
It was a white man country. It was governed for the white man interest. That's why.
Well, they never told the white men and women and children about it. They kept it completely secret. Had they told people, I think Canadians would have been infuriated. And the media, by not telling people, allowed the residential schools to continue. And they are never held accountable.
No, but when I say white man country, I mean for the elite of the society, not really for the majority of the people, regardless of the race.
Norm, any comment on all of that craziness? Norm is muted or otherwise inaccessible.
Yeah, okay. I guess I sort of almost have to defend the statement on white man that, yeah, we really didn't know what was going on. I knew some hints about problems in the residential schools, but it's the same as in any country around the world that the elite at the top are somewhat credited as being what the country is, and that's not the masses. That say right now they like to pick on China. Well, I think maybe at the management level of China, there may be problems, but the Chinese people are not a problem. The same in the States. I went to the music show last night with some Americans that came up and were the headliners. And as people, they're nice. I'm just not quite so impressed with the American government. So we have to, when we start talking about things, that the people of the country are quite different than the ones running the show at the top end.